Okay, so I got everything set up here. My goodness, it's like Bryce, he said, it's like surgery here. I mean, it is pretty much. You got to have everything ready, like the static applicator is loaded. I got my tray of matte medium glue here, 2 strengths. A little bit of water mixed in just so it hangs around a bit. Temperature makes a big difference too, I noticed. With a fan, it makes a huge difference. If you leave the fan off and just set a certain temperature in the room, it has a lot to do with how the glue dries. And then if you want to come back later and dump in some, 2 mil or whatever, just to fill it out a bit, which I'm finding is kind of neat. So this is layer number 9 and 36 to go. Not to mention the paint, right? Yeah, I'm going to get to the paint in a minute here. I'm trying to squeeze it all in here. I don't want to break this up into 49 episodes, if I can help it. Here's my little enema, my little surgical tool. So we turn it on. Touch that. Oh, look at that. It looks like a spark almost. And, hopefully you can see that as it gets going. It's really not about, I'm not a pro at this static applicator, I'll tell you that right now. I haven't used them a lot. But it's really not about shaking it. It's about getting it going. Like I sifted this before I loaded it up. It's about getting it going and then just moving it back and forth. And it sort of starts to pour out of there after a while. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the vacuum over this. I've cleaned up a lot of the excess. The vacuum helps to stand it up a bit. Now, if you don't get too close, now what I'll do is I'll turn the sound down, but I'll show you. Because I want to suck some of that out of there, the loose stuff, and then I want to flock it in with some of this here and then vacuum it out as well later. It just fills it in more like a miniature thatch. It actually looks pretty good once you get this in there. It's nice to mix this up, Boy, I sure got enough of it anyway. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this now and I find that the best way to do this is to almost throw it on like this, like open up like this. And I'm going to work it in with a brush a bit without going all the way down to the bottom. Just thatch the top like that, because the top's dry, right? Okay. I'm going to add more. Doesn't look too bad on that lower, like look at this here. Like it actually doesn't look too bad, this shorter grass there, right? Like it's like it, boy, see, this is what I mean by, you know, discovery, right? You're always learning in this game. Like this hobby, when you really get into it, you never can know it all. You just can't. Like that's the beauty of like the total diversity of the real world that we try to model, right? Like I think that's what I'm going to do. I think this second layer here, I'll make another pass on layer 49. No, I'm going to do this other part here with shorter grass. I like that, actually. It has a nice look to it, don't you think? Anyway, so after I get this flocked in, anyway, this is what I like to do. I like to take some fine soil like this, once again sifted soil from out somewhere in the garden, I guess. I can't even remember now. And there's still wet glue in there, so I just sort of sprinkle in some soil. It just soaks up the glue and fills in that area and gives it a nice, you know, earthy tone look to it. Okay, so here's a little tip or trick with static grass. I mean, I'm not an expert at it, but you know, it's all part of the process that we involve ourselves in, right? So I'm going to do a little bit of shorter grass on this other layer. There's quite a few. Sometimes you'll see 3 or 4 overlapping layers. Sometimes just one. So what I want to do is I'm just going to stab in a little bit of matte medium straight from the bottle just here, randomly. Just, you know. Like I don't want to cover it all up, otherwise it won't look like it's, you know, eroding away. And then I just took some of this static grass, this 2 mil stuff, you know, the really small stuff, and put it in a folded piece of paper like this. I'm just going to blow it on. And then I'm going to take the vacuum yeah, so a little more smaller, younger turf, right, growing in there. That'll come back later and vacuum again and touch up with a bit of paint later with the airbrush in the final stages. But it's looking all right. Okay, so I just want to show you here how you can dry brush with like scenery, like as well. Because you can see here with these colors, like I've laid in the patchwork, which is was a dark woodland scenics green, and then there's the tall 12 mil field grass, light green, and then there's other 2 mil, a different type of lighter green. So there's actually 4 colors of static grass in here. One here, one underneath here, then this field grass here, and then these tufts I made, right? So they're kind of have an opaque, patchy look to them, which is okay, but I want to show you how you can create a little more continuity with just a cheap brush from the dollar store. But bristles, like fairly stiff bristles, okay? Because you want to make sure that most of the paint's off the brush. Not completely dry, but enough to just brush over top of the grass. Like this grass has been raked over quite a bit, so all the loose stuff's pretty much gone now. Like, you know, a fair bit of it's come off, and that's good. That's what I wanted. I don't know if it shows really good with the camera right here, but it really looks cool from down on this angle coming in like this. But I just want to show you, like in this area here, like what I can do with this like Vallejo Air number 71.095 pale green. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of here. I've done this all the way down, okay? So I'm going to dip the end of the brush just like that and just give it a quick wipe, and then I'm just going to work off some of these bigger ones. But watch how I can change these. Like I want these overhanging ones to be a little more green, right? So I'm going to paint it, just stroke it with a brush and pull it down into this lower static grass too, just to change it up a bit, just to create a little bit of a blend, similar to how you would blend oil paint, but now you're doing it with acrylic paint on static grass. Static grass is great. It's been one of the greatest things that's happened to the hobby, but it has a sort of a sheen to it, and it's pretty good. You can do remarkable and stunning results without paint, but as you know, I like to paint to create a little more continuity and a unique look. So now I can take this pale green basically and just drag it over top here so that these first long blades are getting water down here at the end of the turf, like when the river comes up and when it rains it almost down. So it's going to be maybe a little more fresh, maybe not as dried out as maybe it would be down on the ends here, but just to help create a little more of a blend. Okay, and you can go right in here too and use a lighter over top. See, so you don't have to have an airbrush. I've basically done all this north shoreline without the airbrush so far. And you know, I may not even use the airbrush. You know, so you can still do like incredible stuff with just a traditional paintbrush. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow. This is interior yellow, number 71.107. It's called US Interior Yellow. Okay, it's a more of a it's not a super bright yellow, but it really makes for good highlighting grass color. Okay, and I'll show you what that does. Okay, so I'll take a little bit of that, a couple of drops there. Now this goes a long ways, but it depends what you want. Like maybe you want, you know, the grass to look like it's more aged or deprived of moisture. But I'll show you what you can do here. See, so just start light and just drag it over top, just to catch the tops. Just knock some of it off, right? Like I dip it in like this, and then knock some of it off. And then just lightly, like hold the brush super light in your hand and let the weight of the brush just drag over it. Like you'll get a feel for it after a while. See, and then drag it over. You can just do a light dry brushing of the grass, and it just helps to make that grass pop just a little bit more. And those other colors will play through as well. Okay? Now that's really starting to come into its own. Okay? A little bit of static grass dry brushing. Be creative, try things, and you surprise yourself.